Hello, I'm Cynthia McCollister with Neighborhood Services. I'm here to talk to you today about how to complete a Neighborhood Services grant application, or what we're going to start calling it in the future as the grant orientation, neighborhood grant orientation. Because really it's not about how to write this so much as it is about giving you an overview of what we've got and what we're asking for and why we might be asking for it. So it's a little different than helping you fill out every line kind of thing. So anyway, so that's what we're doing. You're going to need a hard copy of the grant. I've got a picture of a sample up here on my board. You're going to need a copy of it, and you can go, after you pause this video, you can go to the city's website, montgomeryal.gov, and look for departments, then neighborhood services, and then you'll find a list of forms, and the 2023 grant will be there for downloading. So why don't you pause this video long enough to go and get that if you haven't already. I know once this video is done, finished and posted, there's going to be another panel out there to tell you about how to go get the grant and stuff. So anyway, pause, and I'm waiting for you when you get back. Okay, now that you have the grant packet, in case you're wondering about why it says 2023 and this is the 2022, it's kind of nuts sounding, but what we do, the way our grant calendar falls, is you start working your working for your training credits during the year before, which is right now 2022. And then once you've earned your training credits, then you're ready to apply for the application later in the year. Plus, it also gives you an opportunity to, we want you to have plenty of time to work on deciding on a project that you and your community can agree on, and also be able to do the best you can to get the estimates and everything that you need to supply to us, and write a really good plan written out and determined for your project, so that you can do the best you can on the application when it comes due in December. On December the 9th is the day it's due. So you'll just, like I said, want to allow yourself time, because you have plenty of time. You can start now working on the project, working on defining the project and getting estimates and things and writing it up. You don't have to wait. But anyway, so you have plenty of time, and we want you to have that so that you can do the best you possibly can. I'm going to start here on the first page of the grant under the schedule, and just walk you through the schedule and the other items that are here. Some of this, I'll try not to read too much, but some of it, the best and easiest thing to do is to just read it with you. But okay. Applications do not have to be submitted, like I said, until December the 9th at 4:00 p.m. Not 5 o'clock, but 4:00 p.m. Not on the 10th, but on the 9th. We're very, very, very serious about our deadline. We have a lot of competition for this money. And we just have to make it as fair as we possibly can, and this is one of the ways we do it. The deadline is, we're serious about it. So I'm making fun, but we are serious about meeting that deadline. You can begin giving us completed applications starting on October 3rd if you want. We really don't want to see them before then, or have them submitted before then. I'm concerned about us being able to keep up with them when they start coming in, So, or you might change your mind by the time if you submitted it any earlier than October the 3rd. So anytime between October the 3rd and December the 9th at 4 p.m. you can submit your application to us. Right now, if you're watching this video, you're completing the grant orientation. We couldn't start it on March 1. I'm so sorry, because I didn't have it videoed, but now it's May, and you can watch it up until December the 2nd. that you really should be finished with it long before that. But some people can go that long and then and be able to submit a good application. Training credits have to be earned by December 2nd by 3 p.m. and that's a serious deadline too. And it's the week before the application's due, so that if as you're submitting them, if we have any problem with the count or getting the crossing the T's and dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Anyway, we have any trouble with that, that'll give us a chance to reconcile that before the grant application's due on the 9th. So just keep that in mind when you're doing the training credits. We love for you to submit them as you go. A lot of people will wait and do them all at one time. Whichever way's all right with you is all right with us, but we do like for you to submit them along the way. Excuse me, and then you don't have to worry about keeping up with them for yourself. And then after your application comes due, or the application deadline is, we're going to make some copies of the grant application for our advisory committee. The Neighborhood Services Advisory Committee are the ones that score these applications and make the decisions on who gets what, how much money, kind of thing. Your neighborhood services staff is in the room but not participating in the decision making. We're just there to clarify things or to remind them of something they might not know or what have you. Between December the 12th and January 20th, the site visits will be performed. That's when we make copies of these applications and give them to our advisory committee, to the Neighborhood Services Advisory Committee, and they are the ones that will come and do the site visits. They are also the ones that make the decision about who gets what money and everything. Neighborhood Services, the staff is in the room with them, but we do not offer input unless they ask us a specific question about process or about what we've done in the past or things like that. So, but they do make the decision, and they make it based on the amount of the budget that we have for the grants, and then they give away as much of it as we possibly can. We don't usually have any money left. So anyway, that's between December the 12th and January 20th, and then after that, we will schedule a meeting where we actually do the scoring. The site visit is about coming and visiting you and seeing the place where you're working on your project, and or talking to you on the phone and getting to know you better and get to know the project that you guys are working on. What you're supposed to do is talk to them about it and get them to have buy-in for your project. Because what they'll do when they come to the table to do the scoring and making the decisions, they advocate for each one of the applications that they've been assigned. So it's really cool to watch too, because they're good to advocate for you guys when they understand what you are doing and what you're trying to accomplish. So anyway, we do that, and hopefully maybe by next year, in 2023, we'll be able to do a banquet, depending on what COVID does, and of course everybody's schedules and things. So that it wouldn't be announced until February, and then our first check distribution will be March 13th. The check, your first half of your grant allocation would be available starting March the 13th, and you could come pick up the check, or we can mail them to you. We've started mailing some of them to you when you needed to, as long as we've got a contract signed first. And then the next, I'm going to skip the interim report for just a second. On August the 25th, 2023, there's a second check that would be available for distribution. And that would be your final check, and it would be those two checks would total the amount of your award. in order for the second check to be issued, we have to have an interim report submitted. That's just right up above that line. On June the 30th, 2023, by 4 p.m., we need to have an interim report submitted. And then at the end of the cycle, when the grant's over your projects, your final report has to be submitted by December the 15th, 2023 by 4 p.m. So your project should have been completed maybe sometime in November, and so that you can collect all your receipts and gather all your documentation to submit to us with that final report. I want to add, in this application package for 2023, this is the first time we've not included the final report form. We're going to give you that inside your contract package when you actually are awarded when you actually know that you've been awarded the monies. So that'll come later, and it's just a kind of a little bit of a repeat of what you filled out, but it's instead of you anticipating what's going to happen, you will be saying this is actually what happened, and this is what we spent, and all of those kind of things, and have the receipts and pictures and all that kind of stuff for us. So anyway, you'll look for those then. It won't be in this packet, which is a good time for me to say we last year's grant package was 27 pages long. This one is only 19. So we cut back a lot of things and combined some things to try to make it a little bit shorter and not quite so intimidating looking. It's still the same application, but we just, like I said, consolidated things. Okay, so let's move on. After watching this video, I just want you to know for sure, absolutely without a doubt, that if you have any questions at all, call, and I'm the primary contact for these. Sometimes my coworkers, Cynthia Giancaterino and Leon Franklin, will be able to answer your questions too, but I am primary contact on the grant information. There are some things that get a little deeper and I'm a little more experienced at that. But anyway, you can call us at 625-2175. But what I want you also to know is that after you get through watching this grant, if you're still a little confused about things, you can call me and we can walk through, talk about everything all the questions you have. If it's necessary, we can sit down one-on-one and do the same thing. I'm here to help you. I don't want you to get all flustered about having to do this report or this application and then not, just don't let yourself get to the point that you're so frustrated you want to throw it out the window or something. Call us first, okay? We can help you through that frustration. And that's what that little paragraph right up under the chart is telling you about. After watching the video, here's the steps you can take to get some more questions answered. And also on page 4, you'll see, when we get to it, you'll see that there's instructions on how to get to this video again if you want to go back to it. So that's in here too. Okay, everyone. Let's turn to page 2, and you'll see you've got a table of contents there. It's just to help us, help you be able to find stuff a little more quickly. I do want to call your attention to the fact that the first 11 pages are instructional materials and directions and things, and then the actual application begins on page 12 through 19, and that's just 6 or 7 pages right there that out of the 19 that are the actual application. So see, it's not so hard. I hope you think so anyway. Okay, let's go on to the next page. I want to talk to you just a second about the grant process and what we're hoping it does for you. And of course we know it. Well, anyway, this is what we hope for you. The purpose of the Neighborhood Grant Program is to empower citizens to improve the overall quality of life in their neighborhoods through citizens and government partnerships. And what we believe is our grant process helps with that, to do this, because not only are we offering you money that you can use to do improvements or benefit your neighborhood in some way, we also are requiring through this grant process that you attend some learning experiences, some of the things that, so that you can see how the city works, or you can hear what nonprofits there are and what services they can provide, because you, as leaders in your neighborhood, you might be called on to help somebody find the Family Justice Center or something like that. So, you want to know a little bit about it and what services it provides, so you can help your citizens if you want to do that, if you want to go to that extent. And so anyway, that's what we do. We're through the education part and through giving you the monies and encouraging you to make decisions about the project, and then you actually work it through the English, though, that's getting you used to the things that you need to do to be a leader, be a good leader in your neighborhood. Funds are awarded on the basis of merit, with a maximum of being $5,000. We'll talk a little bit more about that again, but the maximum amount grant award is $5,000. Any kind of neighborhood association, homeowner association, neighborhood watch, any neighborhood groups can apply. And we'd like for you to have a project coordinator identified that we can work through, and that we can use as our primary contact person. And on the first page of the application, you'll see there's 3 names on there, and then we require those 3 names. And that's so that we have adequate contact information in case somebody moves or somebody drops out of the project and things like that. We don't do grants to individuals, businesses, universities, other foundations, political or fraternal organizations, churches, neighborhood alliances, nor apartment complexes. But I want to call to you, and this isn't everything, there's just a lot of what we've been asked about. What I want to call to your attention, though, is that you can form partnerships with these other entities, like especially your foundations or the nonprofits in your local area. If they need some assistance with something, and they can use that, they would have a plan to come in and help your neighborhood with something, say a senior program or a youth program. You could partner with them. You as a neighborhood would still have to be the primary contact and the primary lead on the project, but we could also work with that nonprofit or what have you to actually present to the neighborhood, I believe. So anyway, just if you have anything like that and you want to talk to us about it, just give me a call and we'll see what we can work out. So then also, let's see, in the program description, it says the amount requested is $5,000 and based on the following: your project reasonableness, your funding availability, the ability to provide the match either monetary or in kind, volunteer support, the ability to garner the support of the community, demonstrated need, which is one way to accomplish this would be to perform a survey, which we can help you put together. I want to go back up to funding availability. We had a grant a few years ago that they lost part of their funding. They're no fault of their own, but they lost part of their funding, so they weren't able to do the project. And unfortunately, we first started asking we need to just cancel this particular grant for this year or what have you, and it was pretty bad. I think we wound up working something out, though, which is what we really try to do, but there was that moment when we thought we were gonna have to just take our money back and everything, because this large percentage of the funding was just lost. lost literally, but lost in terms of them being the gift coming to them. So anyway, things happen. Let's talk. Let's talk. We try to work out what we can with you all the time, because we don't want to take the money back. The next page is just a kind of a recap of what I've already told you. Page 4 is where I am. It's got application procedures. You get a application, a hard copy of the application from us. You learn how to, you earn your training credits. And number 3, you watch this video, is what you're doing right now. And then you complete the application in detail and make sure that we get it. And this little statement right here on step 4 is very important. It says, complete the application in detail and mail or hand deliver the original to the City of Montgomery Neighborhood Services, attention Cynthia, at 25 Washington Avenue. Email or other electronic submissions of the completed application will not be accepted. It's just too difficult. If we wind up doing it in bits and parts, and we just like for you to give it to us in one thing, and we can. It's just better for all of us all the way around. And then here's the portion where I show how to watch the Neighborhood Services video about how to write a grant on the YouTube channel. So there's instructions for that. On page 5, we've got a glossary here that we hope would help you understand things like a homeowners association and neighborhood association. We define what they are. It doesn't matter. Some homeowners associations are actually operating like a neighborhood association in that their dues are not mandatory, and that's okay. Whatever you call yourself, it doesn't matter to us. As far as a homeowners association or neighborhood association or civic association, those things don't matter. But it's how you function that we have to understand and know, which an HOA has mandatory dues, and they have there's legal mandates on what they can and can't do to their properties, and they all know this before they buy these properties, and they pay dues to help keep it to the level of the looks and stuff that. I think you understand. I'm going to move on. Anyway, homeowners association, neighborhood association. So just wanted to talk to you about a little bit about that. Now on page 6, these are important to you, and I'm going to kind of call attention to each one of these. These are the first one. Okay, here, let's just do this. Let me note the differences in the amounts, because it is a maximum of $5,000, but not all category allows for a $5,000 award. So right here on physical improvements, and that's landscaping, beautification. We had made some requests for to restore some lions that were in our area. So that would be a capital improvement or physical improvement. The maximum amount's $5,000, and the match is 10%. We've updated our thing so that all of our matches are 10% for each one of these categories. Public safety, public works program or initiative. It includes having special training, crime or fire prevention, traffic deterrent, traffic calming studies. We don't want you to replace the work of the city or county with your project, but we certainly will help you get something started or complement whatever our city departments might be doing in regards to, if you wanted to boost it up a little more or have something a little different added to it. maximum request amount for that is $3,000. And then the next category, number 3, is cultural, education, community involvement, and recreational programs. Literacy programs, leadership training, computer labs, after-school enrichment programs, cultural arts programs, summer camps, all kinds of fairs, anything like that is the cultural. We have 2 neighborhoods that take, well, 3 neighborhoods that take a busload of students off for an adventure for the day and come back, and they come back. They go to places like the caverns in North Alabama, and the zoo in Atlanta, things like that. The Coca-Cola Museum in Atlanta, and other things that even Mobile to the, what is it, Daphne. Anyway, it's I'm moving on again. Thank you. Sorry. All right. Number 4 is a neighborhood plan or charrette or study. This would help you to pay for a consultant or area expert to complete a neighborhood plan. Some of the neighborhoods in the city of Montgomery already have a neighborhood plan that they've worked with the planning department. Linda Wool would have been the primary contact. The first thing I would do if you're thinking about something like that is get hold of her and see if she can't, if that group can't come and do a plan for you instead of us having to pay for it. And then, but if so, if that you want one and then they're not able to do it, then of course we could see about making that request, making that money available to you, and that's a maximum of $3,000. And then a technical assistance or marketing, that would be web design or some kind of specialty flyers or things that you might want to prepare. And it's a $500 maximum award. One of the things that you can do is if you do like you could combine projects in your grant application, and just say you have one for physical improvements, you have one under cultural and education, and then you have one under neighborhood plan. Well, let's just say you have $2,000 toward a physical improvement item, $2,000 toward a cultural item, and then $1,000 toward a neighborhood plan or study. If we are able to have the budget to fund that $5,000, we can do that. But just in case we can't, what we ask you to do is to prioritize those. Which one of these, which of the 3 would you say is the one you definitely want, and the other two be something that that if we had to make the choice, tell us which ones we could leave out. But and then if, like I said, if we have budget for full $5,000, then we certainly will grant that for you. Okay, let's look on page 7. I'm going to just highlight a few of these. The project criteria. It needs to provide a public benefit to the neighborhood, and it's not that it benefits one person, or that one person has asked for the project, and when you're doing this project because one person wants you to. It needs to be a community event. It needs to a community action type thing, not just for one person. It's supposed to, whatever you do has to benefit the entire neighborhood. It also needs to be sustainable. Got to think ahead. Are you going to be able to, if you put this project or this initiative in place, well, are you going to have our funding every year? Then maybe that's not the best thing, the best use of resources. Just to take into consideration that and go from there. Let's see. We want you to make sure you demonstrate neighborhood support by evidenced by your meetings and the roster at the meeting. We want to see more than 6 people there, and we'd like to see, evidence that I shouldn't have said that about the 6 people. Sometimes if that's all that show up, and we understand that, but you want to try to get as many as you can and be sure that everybody in there is agreeable to working on the project that you pick. And even with virtual meetings, you still should be taking your minutes and having a roster or a list of the attendees included on there. You want to directly involve the residents throughout the process, beginning to end. You don't want to, if you're planning things, then send an email out and say, hey, we're having a planning on Saturday morning. Why don't you come and join us and help us get this done, and all of that kind of thing. And we also need to comply with existing policies and codes for the city and county of Montgomery. And we also have a good standing policy, a neighborhoods in good standing policy that's new for the last couple of years. On this page, your grant application may actually say page 23, but this includes the Neighborhood Services Grant Good Standing Policy, a copy of which can be found on page 10. It should say on page 10. If yours says 23, let's just change that. That was a typo error. But I want you to read that when we get to that too, and just become familiar with it. Let's see, the criteria for funding approval. We have to provide evidence that the project qualifies for funding. We need estimates, and we need a budget page, and a plan, a good plan, a well-defined plan for how things are going to be accomplished. And then we want to, again, this is repeated again, this is about providing evidence that it was favored by a majority of the neighborhood. So to see it's mentioned a second time, so we know it's very important. Assume the lead role and the responsibility. So this is talking about if there's partnerships and collaborations with other entities that your neighborhood leadership needs to assume the lead role and the total responsibility for the project. So it takes some flexibility in working with somebody else in there. Okay, and then you want to contribute to and ensure resident involvement in all phases of the project by making a significant neighborhood donation in dollars, goods, or in-kind services. Offer your neighbors the opportunity to volunteer. I've said that a few minutes ago, and let them participate in it, and even if it's they can't do anything, aren't physically able to come to an event, well, maybe they can bake some goods to send with the event, or maybe they can pick up something for you and go run errands and shop for you, whatever. Let's see. Let's make a note about this too. Association officers or members who may provide project consulting or planning services are not entitled to receive a salary or payment for project-related services or operating expenses. Requests for operating expenses will only be considered for contracted professional service providers outside of the neighborhood. If you're within the neighborhood and you have a particular talent, we hope that you would volunteer that talent. Okay, I'm on page 8 now, and this is a couple of things that we won't find. In fact, I think I'll just let you read this, but I will call their attention to you that we won't, it's important that we don't re-grant to affiliates in the form of monetary means. In other words, when we give you money and you want to do something for the school, you shouldn't be giving them money out of the money. You should go and purchase whatever the items are that the school needs, like if it's uniforms or paper or whatever. If you want to do that, then you go and purchase it for them and then bring it to them, not give them just a check and then just write a check kind of thing. Also, equipment. We do not use our funds to pay for lawn equipment, tables, chairs, or other equipment that requires storage. And if you need that for your association, let it come from other funds, okay? We tend to see that it disappears, or it gets put in somebody's garage, and then people forget that it's there for a while, and stuff like that. Or it's, in case of computers, we've our experience has been that they've gotten stolen and what have you. So we don't do that. And we also don't accept multiple applications from the same community. If there are two neighborhood associations serving the same boundaries and same community, we'll refuse both applications. Let's see, criteria for disqualification. All of these things that we've got listed on here, we usually don't have a problem with, because you guys have already gone through the process of having an active checking account in the name of the association. You've got a tax identification number, or an EIN as it's called now. We're supposed to have you complete previous projects. Like, we don't usually give a grant, a second grant to go to an entity that hasn't finished the project from the year before. COVID brought some exceptions to that rule, but we want to get back to the point that we don't do that anymore. Let's see. And the project evaluation and the selection process, the Neighborhood Services Advisory Committee is comprised of members from the community, and they review application and site visit, evaluate and select successful applications. Then also the selection process. Applications are screened by Neighborhood Services staff. We make sure that you've got all the documents that we've asked for, and proper receipts and a proper plan and all of that. But then they are reviewed, ranked, and scored by the Neighborhood Services Advisory Committee. And the awards available, the number of awards available will be based on the available funding for the Neighborhood Services Program annually. That's the budget. Here's the good minutes. The Neighborhood Services Good Standing Policy is on page 10. Be sure to read over that. Most of you, we've not had any kind of issues with any of these things, but occasionally we do, and we've had to put these in place so that we can have the documentation about what when we decide that we can't fund a particular neighborhood for the next year or so. Then we've got documentation as to why that could happen. Just be sure to read that. And then on page 11, what we have is a grant checklist. You're going to want to keep this page. We don't want you to turn it into us. We want you to like I said, to hang on to it and use it as your checklist. Before you submit your packet to us, or the application to us, you want to check these items and make sure that you've done each one of them, or if it's not applicable to you, make sure it's truly not applicable. And then we thought this would help to be able for you to see what kind of progress you've made. And then after you've been awarded a grant, we've got these two items to check off to do. Submit your interim report, which that form will be in your contract package, and the final report, again, those forms will be in your contract package for you to pull out and fill out for submission. Now I'm on page 12, and I might move pretty quick here, so just I'd be glad, I guess. on page 12, I want to call attention to the three names that we're asking for in here. Everything on the page is important, but the three names and the three signatures are important. They are required. And be sure that we have a proper a daytime phone and proper email addresses. I've got some that have been submitted to us that the first time I email them, I can't get to them. And I would really like a valid email, and so that we can keep all three of the contact persons on here notified of the things that are going on. Okay, that's self-explanatory. Page 13, this is a list to kind of estimate your, prepare your budget and the items that you're gonna need for your project. And just list the type of expense and list what your budget amount is, and then follow the instructions as they are in terms of what the amount that you're requesting and where the other funding may be coming from. And this is something we need to know at the bottom of the page. It says you are required to submit estimates for any services you are hoping to obtain with your grant application. If you're planting trees, you're required to submit an estimate from the person or business who will be purchasing and planting the trees for you. Just things like that. Now, if you're having an event and you're buying food, I see you just estimate that, but base it on, say expected 100 people or expecting 25 people, and we're going to have hot dogs and then just kind of, then you don't really need an estimate for that. These other items with service providers, or that we would. And the next page is, what page it was. Page 14, and it's the I'm gonna hold it up. This spreadsheet kind of thing for your project description. This table, it's good to help you kind of think through your process and your dates and how much time you need for when and your goals. Set your goals for when things are going to be completed and those kind of things. So. I really like this form, and then we also have an example of that on the next page. Yeah, there's an example on the next page, and then we get to the narrative questions on page 17. Now, I know, don't give us thorough answers. Think about it. If you didn't know, you have in your head everything that you do about your project, and you're answering, how will the project impact your neighborhood? Well, be thorough about it, so that we can know what you know or see it the way you see it. And we don't care if you handwrite these. You can type them. I can get Word versions of the application from me also. And but anyway, these are the narrative questions, and they're pretty much self-explanatory. And they would be what you interpret the answer should be based on your project, because we can't all projects aren't the same. The things would be different. So anyway, that's those pages up to page 19, and there's 9 of them. So just be sure you get all 9 of them, and you can do it. You can do them on the form here, or you can attach your own typed blank pages that you had, and work those out and put them right there. And again, if it's in your hand, as long as it's legible, you can handwrite it. We're not picky about that. Well, and that's it. I want to remind you again to don't needlessly stress, okay, and fret over this grant. You pick up the phone and call us, because we can walk you through it and help get that stress off of you, because we've seen just about everything, I think. I don't know, maybe not, but we've seen enough to be able to take ideas and ask you questions to get you around whatever's gotten you stuck. I also want to share with you, and I've written it down so that I can get it said right. I get kind of sentimental sometimes and can't say things like I want to. But I also want to share with you how important what you are doing is for your neighborhood. Be proud of your work and know that there are many people in the city that understand how difficult service to your neighborhood can be, me included. I still serve on my neighborhood board, especially, and then, like I said, there are many people in the city that understand how difficult service to your neighborhood can be, especially these three women, myself, Leanne, and Cynthia Jane Katerina, who are working in neighborhood services. We are your best fans. We are your biggest fans. So thank you. Y'all email me, call me. Just don't stress, okay? All right. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Bye.